Ari Gold is an agent in Hollywood when we're introduced to him in the first season. He represents Vince. He's incredibly loyal. He's what's known as a shark. Great at what he does, works on a very high level, and can be very offensive. Says the unsayable, the unthinkable at times, and is a very abrasive character who loves his wife and is monogamous, and yet you think he's all over the place and a pig and whatnot. And so he lives in a lot of dualities. Ari has been promoted to the head of the studio, and it was even in Ari's eyes a demotion because he was promised more, which is, I think, a great touch by Doug Ellin, because it really keeps a chip on his shoulder, and it creates some really wonderful friction between he and John Ellis, who remains to be his boss. But the reality is, even when you think you've made it to the top of the heap, there's always someone above you, and that person in this particular case is Larson McCredel, who is played by Billy Bob Thornton brilliantly. Is a Texas oil guy who writes all the checks. So Ari is now beholden to him. He doesn't want to have to go to Texas, but he has to save the movie. They get an operating budget of $100 million, which today is a ton of money. It really is. And in true Entourage fashion, we've kind of taken the truth, honored it, and kind of explored and heightened it just a bit. And they go $15 million over that. And E and Vince have promised me that they wouldn't go over budget, and the first thing they do is ask for more money. So it makes Ari crazy, because the reality is, Ari is really sticking his neck out for these guys. It's the first movie that he greenlights with the new regime, and he's betting it all on Vince. And you know, that's also a kind of I believe, a stroke of genius, because that's what the whole show has been about, and it's kind of a natural progression that we come to that, and an extension of their whole relationship. Travis McCredel is such a brilliant character for many different reasons. He represents, I think, a part of our culture right now that is incredibly privileged and opinionated without a lot of information. And they feel that they need their day in court, and they deserve quite a bit for what we're not quite sure. And Haley plays it so brilliantly. He believes that he deserves to be in that editing room and to take over the movie because his old man writes the checks. And that's it, end of story. There were some staples in Ari's life, like the therapy scenes, that I really needed. I said, we gotta get at least one. Because I mean, in talking to people, you get a sense of what they loved about the journey and the characters, and then you don't want to repeat yourself, but you want to reward the audience for showing up. I think that they will gravitate towards what they've always loved about Entourage, which is the loyalty that everyone has for one another. The fact that everyone's completely honest and brutal and harsh and funny and touching all at the same time. The relationships that we've come to love between all of the boys together, between Ari and Vince and E and Lloyd and Mrs. Ari, it's all there, and it's enhanced. And the stakes are raised a little bit because Ari's in a position where he can greenlight a movie for Vince. So it's kind of game on. He doesn't have to kind of like navigate through the world. He kind of is the world. So it's a great place to start. All actors want to be athletes, and all athletes ultimately want to be actors. So it's so fun for us as actors to be around these Super Bowl champs, you know, all these brilliant athletes, the best soccer player in the world, the greatest actors in the world. Liam Neeson, you know, for me to pull up next to Liam Neeson and to have him be so self-deprecating, to just play himself as an asshole, you know? Ed O'Neill, just all of them just saying, fuck off, Ari. It's really, really funny and great. And I've had a blast. I've never seen so many cameos in one movie. I mean, if they were to, you know, kind of put one movie against the other and see which has the most cameos, I think Entourage would take any movie out at this point.